in this one. Yeah, imagine if this is the very last game for Magnus in the 2021 season.
Yeah, and well,
yay!
Magnus is stubborn. He says, hey, I'm going to do that line again. It's 1b3 on the board.
Yep, and it worked out to perfection last time. He won with 1b3. This opening, its percentage score must be higher than any other opening, I think, throughout the tour. A lot of white wins. It's very rarely chosen, but when it is chosen, it does tend to be successful, and Wesley So has to come up with something different. It didn't work out last time. It wasn't the fault of the opening necessarily, but look at this, 1b3, when in doubt, copycat. Just mirror that opening, and Black has played 1b6.
And White has pushed forward with the king's pawn, taken a stake in the centre.
Okay, and Black's bishop coming out. This is the point, after all, of making those pawn pushes at the side of the board to develop your bishop to their long diagonals. And now Magnus Carlsen has brought his knight out to defend that central pawn. And this line also extremely trendy in 2021. I think before this last 12 months, I'd very rarely seen this position. Suddenly, I've seen it plenty of times. And Wesley So, how will he react? White is the one occupying the centre first with pawns. So usually you would expect to see Wesley So do the same here as Black. Feels like time to push a pawn. Okay, he just pushes one square forward, releasing the Black dark squared bishop. Now Magnus, will he bring his own dark squared bishop out? There we go. It's on its dream diagonal. It's blocked by its own knight right now, but if the white knight ever moves, then this bishop will be a key piece.
And, OK, the knight attacks the pawn in the centre. I was just going to say, if Wesley picks up his c7 pawn and pushes it 2 squares, the line would actually transpose 2 lines that we see against the Sicilian, with b3.
Yep, that's right. And this knight jump is also quite well known, attacking White's pawn in the centre of the board. This recently became quite trendy as well. Usually White pushes that pawn forward to hit that Black knight, gaining a bit of time, and the Black knight will have to move for a second turn early in the game.
And yep, so far, so good, all in my database. And Black tends to centralise the knight to the d5 square.
Yeah, and talking of so far, so good, Jovanka, look at that air quality. Perfect. The players in the Oslo arena in great conditions right now. And, OK, the Black Knight does jump to this square. I saw also recently there were games of the Black Knight jumping to a different square. Meanwhile, after this trade, we see the White Queen coming out. So Magnus Carlsen has not hidden his intentions to win this game. He's going on the attack early. And that White Queen pinning down some of the Black pieces. She's getting ready just in case the Black King does a castle on the right side to launch an attack. Also, note how the White King, he's completely cleared its path towards the left side. So Magnus, he's getting ready to castle that White King away. Black is still a few moves from doing the same.
Now, this wasn't the most popular of variations, but Wesley actually, by picking up the pawn and attacking the queen, he's actually taken the game into really uncharted waters. And now that Magnus has just moved the queen one step to this particular square, the f4 square, now that's it. It's brand new. And now Wesley is really going for it because he is really chasing that queen. Step it back. And Magnus says, OK, I have to.
Yep. Magnus seeming over to the course of today, seeming to love developing his queen early. It's not something we recommend to players when they learn the game because you lose a lot of time. This White Queen has now moved 3 times and it's only moved 9. Black, in the meantime, has gained some tempi, gained some moves, attacking the White Queen, but it's not sure whether these moves are actually beneficial. Magnus there, smiling. He is going to be hoping that these Black pawn pushes on the right side will later become weaknesses. And, OK, Wesley, not being afraid to push pawns, he's pushed on both sides of the board. He's using Magnus's favourite strategy against him, pushing the A and H pawns forward, trying to release the Black rooks up the board. And there we go. Magnus pushes a pawn also on this side. So now if Black pushes a pawn on that left side, the pawn that did just move, Alice the A pawn, then White will block things up. This is why Magnus has played this last pawn push. And it's back to Wesley. How does he justify all of these strange pawn moves at the side of the board? He's not fighting for the centre right now. He's just playing on the flanks. And that is a very double-edged strategy.
Yes. I mean, it's very rare where you see so many pawn moves.
So few piece moves.
So few piece moves from almost both players. But the big question is that, you know, with great space comes great responsibility. And Magnus now has some targets. He can start to provoke those pawns and just force them to overextend.
Will there then be no peace in this game? Only a war.
No peace treaty, definitely. All-out warfare.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, it definitely has the feel of a last day, this match. It's both players throwing everything at each other. I think the big question for Wesley, so the reason I don't think this is a great practical try in a rapid game is because the black king is going to be stuck, entrenched in the middle of the board. If the black king castles to the right side, there's no pawn protection anymore. The black pawns will just, they would rather retreat. And the black king as well. It takes an age to castle over on that left side. You need the black knight to get out of the way and the black queen. Meanwhile, Wesley So continuing to go against the conventional rules, against conventional wisdom, moving a piece that's already moved twice in the game. That's the third time that bishop has moved, and it's back where it was just a few turns ago. Yeah. So completely neglecting his own development here of other pieces. The black knight needs to come out. The black dark squared bishop needs to come out. Both sides just ignoring everything they're taught when they're young. I guess you've got to be good, you've got to be a world-class player like these two in order to know when to break the rules, but so far, very, very unusual play.
Yeah, and because of the unconventional pawn structure, you know, I've never seen a position where those pawns have advanced to the fifth row like that. I mean, it just means that both players will actually be burning a lot of time trying to figure out what's the ideal piece placement and also how to challenge the other. And I expect Magnus now to take a pause and just figure this out before he comes up with a series of moves.
Yeah, so Magnus can choose to expand his own pawns. White's pawns in the centre might step forward at some point. White can also throw pawns on the right side, as Sivan kind of hints at there, just to challenge Black's expansion. And yeah, I think you're right. I'm just racking my brains right now. I must have looked at tens or hundreds of thousands of chess games in my life, but never this pawn formation, never this pawn structure. It is that unique.
Wow.
And well, for our quiz of the day, we are celebrating the end of the 2021 season, and in partnership with our friends at MasterCard, we are turning the tables. We are asking you to ask us the questions, share memories, priceless moments. And but to get those questions answered by us in the studio, we need you to tweet us your questions using the hashtag ChessChamps and hashtag priceless. And we'll do the best we can to answer them. And Sujay says that what are some of the life lessons you learned from chess?
Oh, there's so many, right?
Too many, yeah. Always think before you act. Never think for too long, though.
That's true. Every move has its consequences. Yeah. Take a look at this position. You know, Wesley has gone forward with his pawns. He can't take them back, and you've got no one to blame.
Isn't there something about a plan as well? Better to. A bad plan is better than no plan, right?
Yeah.
I like that one.
A bit like life, right?
Yeah.
Got to have something in mind.
And the player's playing very quickly, and the white knight has again maneuvered itself to the left side.
And of course, also the life lesson with the pawns. They can always go ahead and become the most important pieces on the board and become the queens.
Even a pawn can dethrone a king.
Yeah.
They can do anything.
They can do.
If you dream big.
Anything. And the bishop comes out to attack the queen, so Magnus must move the queen. And Jonathan Hills asks us as well, which game/sport would Kaya secretly beat David and Jovanka? I think this might be
anything. Apart from chess, pretty much.
I can't come up with anything, actually.
Well, we have a suggestion, Tiddlywinks.
What is that?
Oh, it's where you flick these little counters and they're little tiny... Google it, Kaya. You'd probably beat us.
Okay, I have to practice that. No, I think maybe skiing, being a Norwegian, is where I have the best bet.
And you're pretty good at golf, right? So.
Well, okay, yeah, golf.
Yeah,
I
golf,
could maybe
and also you're a keen runner, so...
Yeah, that's maybe taking it a little bit too far.
Skiing is one that you will beat us forever, I think, especially me.
Yeah, because I'm Norwegian, of course, yeah.
And the queen has relocated itself to the C3 square. And final question, Pity Devil asks us, what are the odds Magnus Nepo on the upcoming World Championship match? And then they ask, will you guys host the next 2022 tour? And which leg of the tour is your favourite?
We will definitely host the 2022 Meltwater Champions Chess Tour. And the favourite, what was the second question?
What are the odds on the Magnus Nepo?
Oh, that one goes to David.
I think it's going to be closer than most people think, but I would say maybe 60, percent in Magnus's favour, maybe 65 if I'm being really generous. I think Nepo might surprise some people though, so it's not as one-sided as you might think.
Yeah.
And I'm going to answer the last question, which leg of the tour is my favourite? I mean, it had to be the FTX Crypto Cup. That was absolutely thrilling.
So dramatic.
Top 10 players in the world all playing in the prelims. Magnus almost not qualifying for the knockout stages, and then the drama that involved in when he finally got there and won it.
Yeah, that massive celebration. He nearly ripped off his shirt just because he was so happy to beat Wesley.
Yeah.
Great tournament.
And if you want to tweet us your questions, your memories, your priceless moments, then remember to tweet us using the hashtag ChessChamps and hashtag priceless.
And Magnus not ripping off his shirt, but there is definitely a little bit of emotion there, a little bit of a smile and some music. We do have a bunch of moves. I just have to say, you guys, that one match has finished. Levon Aronian playing a draw in this one. He is the winner of that match against Shakhriyar Mamedyarov, and he has finished the tour. Levon Aronian currently now then in 3rd place.
So he could leapfrog over Wesley.
Yep.
Right.
I think he will leapfrog over Wesley, most likely, unless Wesley can win the tiebreaks. And, actually, no, if Wesley gets to the tiebreaks, I think Wesley will secure that 3rd place. But either way, he can't afford to lose in the rapid.
Yeah, because it's 2.5 points before this last round.
Levon's half a point ahead now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Wesley have to take it to tiebreaks to secure, or of course win this match. But well, that's not possible. Well, wait, yes it is.
If Wesley gets 1.5 out of the next 2, then Wesley will secure 3rd place.
Yeah.
So he needs to win one of the next 2 games against Magnus and avoid defeat. Meanwhile, this game continues being crazy. We have seen a trade of pawns in the centre, and now Magnus pushing a pawn. This looks very innocent on the right side of the board, but he's trying to break open a line for his rook on that right side. I just want to say as well, the players continue to break conventional wisdom. White's knight moved 3 times. White's queen has now moved 4 times. White has made so many pawn pushes, and we're only on move 17. Meanwhile, black has done the same. With black's light squared bishop, he's moved 3 times. With his dark squared bishop, he's moved twice. Remember, kids, remember everyone at home, castle your king. Don't move the same piece too many times in the opening. It could well backfire. These players can get away with it because they are geniuses, but for mere mortals, including myself, I would be terrified of going for this type of strategy. But they're definitely trying to keep us entertained, and they're definitely trying to throw each other off. They're both so strong that you need to be a bit creative in order to beat these world-class opponents. And Ivanka, whose position do you like here?
White.
White.
1000%. That much.
That?
I just like White holds the key to opening up the lines, especially on the right side. Those rooks could get traded off any moment. I feel that White has the safer place to park their king. And also, I really love that knight sitting in what I call an outpost there on the b5 square. I mean, look at it. I mean, it has control over so many squares, and it's particularly eyeing up that pawn in the middle of the board.
Yeah, tying down the black queen. It can never, ever get kicked away, that knight. Yeah, looking very, very good for Magnus Carlsen right now. I must admit as well, I'm slightly surprised the evaluation bar isn't even further on White's side. It looks like that type of position. It's either very, very good or it's nothing at all. And here it does look very good for White. And as Ivanka mentioned, I think the key as well is that White's king is just 1 move away from scooting over to safety on that left side of the board. It will castle at some point, and then nothing left for Wesley So to target. He'll be purely on the defensive. He'll become quite one-sided. So meanwhile, Wesley So, where does he put his king? He definitely can't try and run off to the left anymore because White's knight is on that side of the board. Also, the white queen looks, it has some influence there. And it can't go over to the right side of the board anymore, that black king, because then White will open it up, as Magnus has hinted at with this last pawn push. So black's king is destined to be stranded in the middle.
Looking into the camera there. Hi.
Checking us out, and he smiles.
A nice smile there from the world champion. If he wins this game, he will be the winner of this match. And of course, Mamedyarov and Aronian, they have finished the season, so we have to give a big thank you. Mamedyarov, he's been playing some super entertaining chess all the whole tour, but especially also in the finals. Levon Aronian is probably about to finish in 3rd place after playing all of the events, right?
Yep.
and giving us so much entertainment. So a big, big thank you to both of those two players.
Yeah, Iranians had a lot of drama actually throughout this tournament.
Definitely.
He played, I remember this game that he played where there had been a power cut. And it was a race against the clock.
The battery level of his computer kept getting lower and lower and lower.
And he was dependent on his phone and the Wi-Fi connection there. And it was getting lower and lower, like you say. And then he also played when he was just about to move to America as well.
True.
He'd literally booked a flight on the day that the Champions Chess Tour finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of ups and downs for him, but a great performance overall. And yeah, so many exciting games. Meanwhile, in this one, we've seen a trade of pawns, a trade of rooks, and Magnus there. After giving us that blue steel impression a few moments ago, he's brought the white queen over. And now, in conjunction with her knight, they are both eyeing up a black pawn. And it's that black pawn on the d6 square. It's incredibly hard to defend. White's knight, if it captures it, will deliver a nasty check, and it would be a fork. This could be deadly for Wesley, so I don't think we'll see him survive this one.
Oh,
White's
dear.
queen is going to deliver the final blow.
I mean, how to defend that pawn? I mean, you have to kind of go, I'm going to defend that with my king.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
This is the pawn we're talking about. It is tied up by the knight and by the queen. It's only defended by one piece, the black queen. And as Jovanka mentioned, maybe you have to defend it with your king, because if you push this pawn forward out of the attack, then the white knight will jump in. It actually can jump into this square or this square. Whoops, sorry, not that one, this one. And either way, it would deliver a check. At the minimum, the black king has to move. The white knight's protected by its queen, and then black will lose material. So if that's the case, then black cannot touch this pawn. You can block the attack from the white queen as well in this direction, but you just open things up, you loosen your position, and at the very least, now we will see white finally castle the king, and next move, he'll take a pawn and open things up against the black queen. This one as well, completely hopeless for black. Black's king is definitely going to die a painful death in this scenario. Therefore, process of elimination, Jovanka calls it. Maybe the black king has to move one square forward.
But I don't like that one as well, because the queen can come and give check.
Maybe it's the best of a bad bunch, but yeah, the white queen could slide across, giving a check to the black king. And actually, yeah, you're right. If the bishop blocks, then suddenly the white queen jumps up, and this is what we call a skewer. The black king has to move, and the piece behind it falls. And wow, white might win a piece. Maybe in this scenario, Jovanka, you know me, I love to go on adventures with my king, and after this check, maybe the black king has to run and hide and try and tuck itself away. It takes a long time, but sometimes needs must, and this might be essential to survive for Wesley. But even after this black king move, he hasn't played it, but even after this black king move, white could just castle and be perfectly safe. Instead, he has indeed opened things up, Wesley, so he pushes this pawn forward, and now Magnus is moving in for the kill. He's just dropped back the white queen, and look at this, the bishop is under fire. How are you going to save this? If the black bishop moves, then white's queen is going to deliver a nasty, nasty check, attacking the king and attacking this pawn.
Yeah.
It's game over.
It is game over.
We'll see Wesley, so any moment, throw in the towel.
Oh,
and
David,
give up.
look at that. It's run away, run away.
Yeah, it's Teletubby time for Wesley, so the black king running away to safety. It's a check. The black king has got to try and hide later on in the corner, but white is going to win at least a few pawns in the process. Look at this. It's a double attack, hitting this pawn as well as the check. Let's go back to Magnus. We might see him celebrate soon because he's on the brink of victory against Wesley. So.
Wow, what an impressive match this is by Magnus Carlsen. What an impressive way to finish off the season. This game, I mean, is a pure genius, even opening with the 1b3.
Yeah, it just shows that Magnus Carlsen, if you take away the opening theory from both players, he is really, really special. He knows where the pieces belong. He knows when to attack, when to change the pace, when to accelerate things. And you see it on his face. He knows he is about to win. Wesley as well. You can tell on his body language, he is resigned to the defeat. He might play another move or two to try and cling on, but it's hopeless at this point. The black king, too exposed. And yeah, imagine only 22 moves. Magnus started the tour finals with an 18-move win against Duda. He might be about to finish it off with a 22-move win against Wesley, so beating two of the best players in the world in this masterful fashion.
Yeah, and he's doing it with the 1b3 opening, which seems to be best by test, right?
Yeah, maybe we'll see more and more players adopt it, even at these world-class levels. Nobody seems to know how to handle the b3 opening, and for Adiban. Maybe this will lead to part 2 of his opening course for Chessable. There we see Wesley so smiling as well.
Ooh, maybe we could have like a Adiban and Magnus Carlsen coalition kind of Chessable course.
Joint training.
Yeah.
And yeah, Wesley, so he's about to resign. He's about to drop into 4th place in the tour standings after a great year for him. That's a disappointing result.
Yeah, couldn't quite finish it off. Maybe a little bit tired, Wesley saw in the finals, but what a season it's been for him as well. For Magnus Carlsen, the winner overall, it is of course nice for him to finish it off with a match win as well. In such a great mood with the music here.
He seems to really be digging the tune.
He's even singing along. Oh, we have to try some lip reading now. What song is this?
Yeah, send in your answers, everyone at home, if you can tell what song this one is. Maybe eventually he will reveal 1 or 2 songs from this playlist to us. He's been very mysterious throughout this tour finals.
Sometimes Oscar comes in my ear and tells me what song it is. Very curious about this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a song title that's...
And now he came in my ear.
Okay.
It's a Queen song, Under Pressure.
Under Pressure. I was listening to it this morning in the shower. Okay, Wesley is under serious pressure here. He doesn't resign, he retreats the Black Knight, but Magnus Carlsen has won a pawn, and Magnus Carlsen is not trading the queens either. Look at the Black King in the centre. If Black recaptures White's pawn in the middle of the board, then White's Rook will swing across and target that Black King. Okay, Wesley desperately trying to remove the queens from the board, but the White Queen forced all the way back. She's still eyeing up the Black King, this time from a different angle.
Yeah, and impressive how she moved across the board, and every single turn she kept on piling the pressure.
Yeah, the winner takes it all in this one, and it's going to be Magnus Carlsen. Black's king still stuck in the middle, and White's king in the middle as well. Still has the right to castle, and that's why Magnus Carlsen is going to take the win. And there we go, we have a result.
Ah, there it is, the final game and the final win for Magnus Carlsen in the 2021 season. What a performance it's been by the world champion to win the tour overall.